back to my podcast. It is Jada Sharice, and we are following up from episode 7. You are listening to episode 8, part 2, with Erica Lewis, private practice. She is a therapist, and I mean, the tea was just overflowing that we had to go into part 2, Erica.
We did. Hi, everybody.
She's back, and I'm just so grateful that we have connected on a level where I text you like, God has been telling me that we have some work to do. I don't know what you have in mind, but these are my thoughts. This is what I want to do. And you said it's funny because he's been telling me the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing.
So here we are, y'all. So we got more stories. I have more questions, and you just an open book, and I appreciate that because, again, it's bigger than us. We are using our platform and my listeners and the support that I have to reach the women, to reach younger women, young girls. People need to hear these stories.
And I'm sure there's people out here that have similar stories but probably too embarrassed to speak of them.
Right.
Because it's embarrassing.
It's hard.
It is.
I came from a past where I dealt with stuff that I didn't have to deal with. I came from a past where I lost myself, where I didn't realize what my worth was, and I had to get it together. So to talk about these things, it's hard. And then I'm with somebody, he don't want to keep hearing this stuff.
And to look at yourself, I did those things?
Right. It's embarrassing.
It is. But I have to tell myself it's not embarrassing because it's a process.
Right.
You know.
It's a process. Brokenness that made me whole.
Absolutely.
Here we are telling our stories of how we were broken, how we're whole now, what we learned, the process that we had to go through, because it's a process.
And if we're not whole, hey, what we're doing to get there.
Right.
You know, what that process looks like.
I'm so excited for what we have coming up. Y'all, stay tuned. I'm telling you, August, get ready to mark your calendars. We'll start promoting. I'm having my first event, Brokenness That Made Me Whole, and
congrats.
Thank you. I don't even know where, but it's happening. God put it on my heart
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and I have people supporting me and sponsorships, and I'm just grateful, and I'm ready for the next level.
Speaking into existence.
Yes. So to what we were talking about the last time we met, and we talked about those unhealthy soul ties and relationships. A better term would be situationships.
And we can find a better term than situationships.
Ooh, it's
help
deeper
us find
than
a
that.
term than situation. Listeners, help us find a term besides situationship
because it gets
some
deeper.
of us aren't even in those. It's deeper than that,
right?
And it's not. It's coupled with like soul tie. What is that? You gonna figure something out.
We have to. So the last time we talked, you were telling the listeners and myself that you had been in this situationship, but you were doing everything that a girlfriend would do, from financially, going on dates and you paying, and in your mind you were in a relationship. Not once did he tell you that you guys were, but it got to a point where he said, "You've been my girlfriend." And you were okay with it, but weren't okay with it.
No.
Why is that?
Because I felt like I was thrown into a situation that I had no idea. So I felt like I was living a lie for like a year to my friends, telling everybody that was my boyfriend. And then for him to just up out of the blue say, "Oh, no, you are my girlfriend." And then his exact words was, "We've been together for a while." And I was like, well, where was I at? Because I wasn't there. And I remember sitting there thinking that, like, where was I at in that relationship? Because if that's what a boyfriend and girlfriend is supposed to do that whole time, then I didn't want to be in that relationship, because that's not what I had, envisioned. And again, I learned this through my friends, and I watched what their boyfriends were doing. Even though the fight and the argument was there, I still watched their boyfriends take them out, pay for things, open the doors, do the little things that actually mattered. And then I learned from girlfriends. Joan Carol Clayton. That's my girl. That was my girl. If anybody know Girlfriends or watched it, I am Joan. Joan is me. And eventually she got married to her soulmate, which we never got to see, but I like to say that that's what happened. But I was just like, that's not what I see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how you ask. And I'm like, okay. And I accepted it.
But let me ask you this. You said you felt like you were thrown into a situation and it was just like, well, where was I the whole time?
Yeah.
But you said you did everything that a girlfriend would. So you were there, but then it hit you when he said it because it's like, wait, what you mean?
Yeah. It was almost like I was, again, my story was I come from a background of foster care, growing up without parents. I was adopted, and I did have an adopted mom, and she was there, and not to take anything away from her because she was great, but we just didn't have that connection, a mother-daughter connection. But she did, everything that she could to make sure that my life turned out to be what it was, and what it is. But I was just in this space where I lived my whole life a lie. And so I was in this space with him lying again because out of fear of embarrassment. And I was just like, I wasn't me. It was like almost I was outside of my body and I was just living to just go through life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care. I was like, whatever. But I cared, but I didn't care.
Yeah. So then what happened after that? You accepted it.
I was his girlfriend. That was it. And any challenges or anything that came my way, I accepted. That man could do anything to me, and I was accepting it. I was okay with it. I literally, and it took me up until this year to start to be honest about that relationship because I was lying then. I was still lying. Well, let's not say this year because last year I started to get truthful with myself and started telling myself the truth. Because the relationship got toxic and domestic violence, although I was physically abusing him, domestic violence isn't just physically abusive. Domestic violence is any abuse that's emotional, physical, mental, financial that happens within an intimate partner relationship. And that's exactly what we both were. That was a true classic domestic violence relationship. Although he wasn't physically abusive towards me, he was very much so mentally, verbally, emotionally. He was a mass manipulator and a womanizer to the core, like
wow.
True definition. And I stayed for 3 long, hard, actually 4, from 2014 to 2018. I stayed in something so tragic. And the reason why I call it a tragedy is because that relationship did not just affect me, it affected my friends. And everybody know how I feel about my friends. Once that affected them, that's when I knew it was time for me to get out.
Yeah. And it's hard being a friend because you sit there and you say, girl, you got this. He don't deserve you. You know, and
I wasn't hearing that.
That's what I was going to say. You don't receive that
No,
because when you in it, it's not so bad. We gonna figure this out. No, he didn't mean it, or it's gonna be different this time. I understand where he was coming from, or maybe I was wrong. You start blaming yourself,
Yeah.
And then you have those friends who with you down the ride, and now they upset because it's like they want the best for you. But now you slow down from telling them things because you know what you told them last time.
And I didn't slow down for telling them.
You told them everything.
I told them, and so my friends went through it with me.
Yeah.
Because again, I am an open book, and the only reason why I am that way is again, when we deal with depression, that's one of my coping skills that I utilize is to be truly, authentically honest. And even though I was still lying, I was still being, I was still telling the truth that I thought was true at that moment. So I was telling them that truth. Quote unquote the truth that was then, but that's not really the truth. So I was telling them what I felt like they should have heard from me and not what they should have heard from me, because they should have heard the truth,
right?
Because I really truly needed help. It was to the point, I want to say one time I caught him cheating, as he did often. He said he was coming over, and he never came really over during the daytime. He did come over during the daytime, but not often.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of times he was coming over during the dark, overnight, at night, and leave early in the morning. And I was accepting of all of that. So this one night he was supposed to come over. Of course, he stayed overnight. Supposed to, but he was supposed to come over, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I hadn't heard from him. And I remember calling him. I was crazy, y'all.
What you do?
I called him 50 times and probably sent 100 text messages. And I mean literally. Like, I probably sent 100 text messages and called him about 50 times.
So were you worried or you knew he was just on his usual?
I didn't know what was going through my head at that moment. I just wanted him wherever I was at. You know.
Wow.
I didn't care. I wanted him to be... If I was in the room, I needed him to be there. And so he would not pick up the phone. He would not, answer for me. And I remember calling my friend, Dee Dee, and I remember calling her, and I was just like... he's not answering, and it had went on for like a day and a half. And remember, we talked every day, and then it was just it had went on. And I called her, and I was telling her, and I was like, don't come over, because she was supposed to come get something from me, and I was like, don't worry about it, just it's okay. And so she was like, you don't sound right. And so I'm like, I'm fine. I was trying. I was struggling at this point to be okay, because I'm one of those people that pride themselves. When I'm at work, I'm at work. And when I'm at home in my outside life, I'm in my outside life. Mm-hmm. I was struggling so bad that I was breaking. And that has never happened to me. And I've been through a lot. I have never been through nothing worse than this relationship. Mm-hmm. And I lost my parents. So imagine losing your parents and then going through this. The relationship was worse than losing my parents. That's how bad it was. And so... I remember calling her, and I fell to the floor. She came over, and I fell to the floor, and I was bawling tears. And she was looking at me like, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah. Nobody's ever seen me like this before.
Because you're a strong friend, right?
I'm a strong friend. And I was on the floor, and I was bawling like a child, crying for a guy who cares about me. Yeah. He didn't care whether I was on fire. He probably wouldn't spit on me. Mm-hmm. And I was on the floor crying. And at that moment, I knew that something different was in me. And it just got from that moment to worse. Mm-hmm. If he did something wrong, I remember me apologizing to him, buying him cards. I bought him a I'm sorry card. I bought him two, because I just wanted him to talk to me. You ready for me to get deep in how sad and sorry it was?
I'm ready. Y'all ready? Listeners, are y'all ready? You should have your tissue by now. Men, don't forget your pen and paper. The good men out there, take notes, because you need to know, if I'm dealing with this girl and we've been dating, I need to let her know. If I'm feeling her, if we in a relationship, she needs to know something. Ladies, you need to know, he hasn't given me a title. I don't owe him anything. So what we doing is we just doing this. Yeah. But there has to be a common ground. There has to be an understanding.
It got to the point, y'all. It got so sad and desperate that I was sent, because I knew money was a way to his heart, because he didn't have any of it and I had it. I had created a financial stability for myself. Because of what I went through, I wanted to be financially stable. So I've always worked hard. Even now at this moment, I have 3 jobs, even owning my own private practice. But I would send him $50 or more through a Cash App. Because Cash App had just became popular. Mm-hmm. And I would say, would you please talk to me on the Cash App?
Oh, my goodness.
That was the way that I was to get him to respond. Sometimes he would take the money. I know. I would.
Okay, I need tissue.
Don't cry. No. I'm okay now. Yes. That's how bad it got. And it was even worse than that. I
wish y'all could see the way that I'm looking at her right now. I'm just like...
And this is my first time, so my friends, it's probably going to be the first time that my friends hear this. So I hope you guys don't cry again, because I think you guys done enough crying for me.
Wow.
But I had sent... I would send him money. I would literally send him money.
Yeah.
To talk to me. For the listeners that like, no, she didn't.
Oh, you got receipts.
I would send money here.
Mm-hmm. Y'all, she's showing me the receipts.
I would just send him. You see that? What that say?
For, can you talk to me, please? And then, wait, that was $10.
You see that?
Then you said, can you talk to me, please? $25. Then you said, I will send you all my money. $25.
It was getting worse. And it's more. Like, I would pay for this.
The movie tickets.
You see, I would be like...
Can you talk to me?
But these were all in, like, the same day. Like...
Can you please pick up... No.
It was bad. And then, you see that one? Can you
talk to me for 5 minutes?
And these are, like, back to back.
$10. And then you sent $20. Please talk to me.
And it would be back to back.
Valentine's Day, you sent him money.
Yes.
It's not funny.
Yes.
I'm upset. No, I'm just
yes.
kidding. No, I mean, I am.
I know.
But it's like, we can talk about this and look back like, who was I? And that's losing yourself.
It was so bad. You see how much money I sent him? Over.
Can I say how much you sent him?
Over. Yeah.
Yeah. This woman sent this man over $1,000 through Cash App.
That was just through Cash App. That wasn't the money I was giving him in person.
Oh my goodness.
And that's just me telling my truth. I'm okay to this day
because
it's a lesson learned. And I know people are going to get something out of this.
Right.
So
it's
I'm
bigger
okay
than
with
us.
this.
It's bigger than us.
I'm not embarrassed by it anymore. I was at first. But I would beg him to talk to me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when I knew that I had a problem. And the problem wasn't with him. It was with me.
Yeah.
And so I remember I still, even though I knew that I had the problem, I still acted as though I still operated like it was okay. Mm-hmm. I will never forget, like, everybody that loves Beyonce, no, Beyonce is everything. So this is my first concert.
Yeah.
Going
here
to
in
Beyonce.
Chicago?
Here in Chicago. Actually, it was my best friend, Jay Bella. It was her graduation. And so I remember going to her graduation, and I'm a party planner. Like, I would plan a party down to the T, and I would have your party popping.
Okay.
And so
my birthday August 11th, so we gonna talk.
Say the word. Say the word, because I would have a party popping, especially with, like, the dramatics and having everything ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And so my friend Jasmine, she had her graduation. Shout out to her because she's a social worker, and we have the private practice together.
Yeah.
So she had her graduation party. And I knew something was wrong because he was supposed to come, but he didn't show. Mm-hmm. Nothing happened. The Beyonce concert was 2 days later. No, take that back. It was my friend's birthday, my other best friend. Shout out to her because she's getting married. Congrats.
Congratulations.
After her birthday dinner, we came back to my place because everybody parked their cars here, and then everybody left but Jasmine. And she walked upstairs with me. Mm-hmm. And I knew something was wrong because I'm like, why are you coming up here with me? Go home. Because she, when you leave from the thing, it's like, bye.
Right.
Have a good day. No. She walked upstairs with me, and she said, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, like, what's going on? And I'm like, we talk all day, every day. What do you need to talk to me about now? And so Lemonade came out, and I was a Lemonade fan.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I hate the Lemonade album, by the way. Did you hear the word
because you can relate.
I don't ever want to. I can't even listen to it. Now I can, but just recently. But she came up here, and she said, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, what's going on, girl? And I'm thinking she had the problem.
Right.
And I knew something was wrong because this is a thug, y'all. Jasmine is a thug. She don't cry.
She with it.
She started crying. And I was like, what is wrong with you? And she said, he's cheating on you with the girl that I sent the other day. You wasn't putting two and two together, and I didn't know how to tell you, but he's sleeping with her. The her was his best friend's ex-girlfriend.
Girl. So he was
sleeping with Let me repeat that. His best friend's ex-girlfriend.
He was sleeping with her.
Yes.
And Jasmine sent you, her picture or a screenshot or something? She said
her cousin was friends with my ex, and that's how she found out, through them. And so all of these people that I was hanging around with in my inner circle knew that he was messing with her, messing with me. Well, they thought, because he said that he wasn't messing with me anymore, that he was done with me. But they had to ask her, like, is he still messing with her? Because he's messing with her now.
Right.
I remember looking at her, and the tears continued to swell up in her eyes, and I was just like, okay. And I was like, and she was broke. I've never seen, to this day, Jasmine, that we the same person. That's my sister. She cried, I cried. I couldn't cry at that moment for her.
Yeah.
I think I died that day. Because that's how bad it was for me. And I didn't even die that day because it wasn't that bad, because it got worse.
Yeah.
And so she left, and I remember calling him, and I was like, are you messing with her? And he talked to me as if we was buddies. Like, man, I'm just cooling on you. I'm good on you. Like,
your boyfriend was
my
talking to
boyfriend
you like this.
And then I remember reaching out. Ladies, don't reach out to the other woman. If you feel your man is cheating, he's cheating. Move on.
Period.
Who?
That was good.
Period. So, he was acting like I was one of the homies. Like, man, what you want? What you talking about? And I'm just like, no, are you cheating on me with her? And at this point, he had been talking to me about this girl, actually saying I look like this girl. And it was weird because, again, like I said, I was dealing with all other things in our relationship. Until he kept lying. I'm like, no, he lying. And so I reached out to her, and I was very respectful. And, of course, she confirmed it on their trips to Atlanta. And we never been on any trips. He's never asked me to go on any trips. I never even met his parents. She had met the parents. She had met the whole family. She was getting the dates. I mean, it was...
This was his girlfriend.
That was the girlfriend. I was the side chick. I wasn't the side chick then, at that point. I was a girlfriend. I was just being played in his eyes. Because in my eyes... You was
girlfriend number 2.
I was girlfriend number 1.
Boyfriend number 2?
No, but I was still girlfriend number 1.
But you never met his parents, though. So what
I'm going to tell you how I turned into girlfriend number 2 to side chick. How I turned from main girl to side chick.
Tell us how that happened.
Because after that moment, he had the keys to my place.
Okay.
She even told me, we going to give these keys back to you. She told me, honey, we don't need those keys. We going to give them back to you. And I was just like, who is this young girl telling me at my age that they going to give me the keys back to my place that I pay the rent for? And why do you even have the keys to my place? So I was furious on the inside. I yelled, I screamed, I did everything that a girl can do. He begged his way back. And, of course, it was some other stuff that happened in between. We don't have to go into all that little small stuff. But he begged his way back. I allowed him back.
Just like that. How much begging was it? Was it days? Was it weeks? Did you cut him off at any point? Did you block him?
I never cut him off. I was begging. I went to his job crying. And it wasn't even his job. It was his dad. He worked for his dad. Girl, he didn't even have a job.
Yeah.
That's how
you did the begging.
I begged him back. And he begged like a second for like a day. But it wasn't like I stopped talking to him or I cut him off or I did any of that. He begged for like a day. And
he had you right where he wanted you.
I was broken. You know, so I always tell people that you don't get the choice to choose to heal what you want to heal. And I had holes all through me. And he was putting the pieces there.
What he wanted to pour into you because
he was pouring what I needed.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wanted that relationship because in the beginning I said, the next guy I see, I'm gonna make him my boyfriend. That was a hole. So he poured into that. He became my boyfriend. You know, at the time I wanted affection. He gave me affection when he wanted to. But I received it because I had a hole there for it. He was giving me the things that I needed because I had holes. And that's why I believe that when you enter into relationships, you do not enter into a relationship broken. Because a relationship can't heal you. And that's why I wrote that.
Yeah.
And that's where that came from. Because enter into a relationship is going to heal your brokenness. And I'm glad you wrote that book, Brokenness That Made You Whole. Because when we're going through the healing process, you don't choose what you want to heal. And healing looks ugly. And as I'm telling this, it's ugly. But it's such a beautiful story.
Yeah. You know,
because when you heal even the ugly pieces, because there's women out here that can't even admit the things that I'm admitting. And women have done crazy things. I've done some things that if you look at it, you're like, what? Not you. And people look at me like, you too accomplished, too professional to even go through something like that.
Right.
But who am I not to have these experiences? And when I heard that, when I was like 8 years old. Like, who are you not to be a foster kid? Because I questioned, like, why am I in foster care? And somebody said, why not you? And at that moment, I stopped questioning God to say, well, why not me? Because, again, the kid that have cancer, you know, the family that goes through a fire, why not them? So why not you? And so I stopped questioning my life, and I started taking my life, and I started moving forward from it. And so I had so many holes within me because I wasn't healed from growing up in foster care, because I had hid who I was. Nobody knew I was a foster kid. I have people to this day that still say, you grew up in foster care? I just started speaking to people about who I was because I was so embarrassed about my life. And so he was pouring and filling holes. I was still empty. And he was filling holes that I had in me. And so I was accepting of everything. And I remember being at work one day, and I checked Facebook, because at this time I was allowing him to see old girl, because I then became girlfriend to side chick.
That's where the transition happened.
That's where the transition happened, because he cheated. I stayed, and I broke up with him. We were broken up, but I stayed, and I said, I don't want to lose him. And I would pray to God. I would literally pray to God. JD, you know how spiritual I am.
Yes.
You're spiritual. Imagine praying to God to ask him to keep somebody toxic in your life.
I wonder what God was thinking. Like, girl, what you just say to me?
I prayed for it, and God gave me exactly what I asked for.
And he stayed. And you stayed in that broken, unhealthy soul tie, this repeated cycle.
I did. Because I prayed for it. God gives me everything I asked for. And so I prayed for him. And I was just like, why am I here? And it wasn't at that moment when my friend started to hurt, because when I saw the look on my friend's face when she first told me that he cheated, I began to hide him because I didn't want to hurt my friends. I could go through as much pain as anybody can go. I would go through it. I would put my life on the line to make sure my friends are okay. Yeah. And so when I saw my friends not okay, I was like, oh, okay. That's when I became side chick, because I had to hide him, and I was okay with everything else, because nobody could know this now, because my friends became not okay with it. My friends didn't want to hear his name, they want to hear his voice, they want to hear nothing about him, because he had done so many things to me, and I didn't even tell them all the things that he did. They're going to hear it now, but I started to hide him, so I hid him from my friends, especially the main one. The one that was so invested in the relationship. Yeah. She was done. She was done with him for me. She was like, oh, you guys are broken up. That relationship is over. We don't have to speak about it no more.
Right.
We were done for her. I remember being at work after I paid for us to go flights to see my mom, because she had just had a knee replacement. We were going to Arizona to see her. I paid for those tickets. Again, money. I actually had just bought him a MacBook.
Girl, you did what?
I just bought him a MacBook.
What does he need a MacBook for? He not working. He not doing anything. What do you need a MacBook for? You should have got him a library card. Okay? Because, listen.
I should have got a lot
I'm fed up.
I
am fed up.
I told you it was bad. It got bad for worse. But when I say the ingredients to make cake are not good, but in the end, the cake is beautiful.
You also said something about, I think you said, you made a Facebook status and you were talking about adversity and everything that was bad were the ingredients to make something so great.
Absolutely. I believe that.
I seen that today.
I believe that. And so I would tell my friends, because I actually saw something from Kurt Franklin. He did a video and he talked about the ingredients to cake, and he said, you wouldn't eat eggs alone because it's disgusting. You wouldn't eat flour alone. It's nasty. You wouldn't eat butter alone. But all those ingredients together make something great. And I heard that during the time that I was going through what I was going through. And I started to tell my friends, I'm supposed to go through this. Because that message just hit me out of nowhere. And I felt it in my heart. And after I found out he cheated on me for the third, fourth, fifth time, I said, I'm supposed to go through this.
At what point where you felt, tell me how you got out of this. What was your breaking point where you was just like, I'm done?
And
not even you walked away, but you realized I need to get out of this. I'm done, I'm tired. Because getting out of it is a process.
Right.
But knowing that you want to get out of it, that's a process too, and that's the first step.
I knew I wanted out from day one. I didn't know how I was going to get out, but I always felt like this wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted out. I didn't know how I was going to get out. I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to be by myself. I was hearing messages. Remember Girls Trip at the end of Girls Trip when she said, don't be afraid to be alone. I was hearing so many messages because I'm a message person. I hear messages. I see messages. I read them. I feel them. I'm very spiritual. And I was hearing messages. It was like God was speaking like, hello.
Right.
You know, hey, is another message. And I was staying. Like, I was like, nope, I'm not ready. And I would tell my friends, and it used to burn my friend's soul when I used to say, I'm meant to be here. I'm supposed to go through this. And she would not understand why. And when I found out he had cheated and got the girl that he cheated on me pregnant, I found that out at work. And
this is the best friend's ex that he
Right.
got pregnant?
Yep, that's her. And he stayed with her. When I found out that he got her pregnant, I was just like, I broke. I don't think nobody ever saw me like that. I think I cried every day from that moment up until December.
When was that?
I
So
found
you
out in
started
July because I bought the plane tickets. I
Oh
bought the
my
MacBook.
goodness.
I found out July 3rd.
Where's the MacBook? He still got it?
He got it.
Okay, go ahead. You
He can
found
keep
that
it. He can keep it. It's yours.
The Lord
You can
said,
keep it.
vengeance is
It's
mine.
yours.
So, okay.
And when I say the Lord is, when he said vengeance is mine, it was his.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout this process, I never did nothing malicious. You know, of course, I probably cussed a girl out once or twice. But that was as far as the cookie crumble.
Yeah.
With that, I was never malicious or attackatory towards either one of them, or slanderous towards either one of them. And there's two sides to every story, and the only side that I'm telling is my truth and the
Right.
truth. You know, and so
Same with brokenness that made me whole. This is my story. This is my truth.
and I'm not speaking badly on anyone, but I'm just telling how broken I was on the inside
Right.
and how I allowed somebody to treat me. And once I found out he got her pregnant, I will never forget my friend's mom calling and saying, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm in the car crying." And I answered for her because I'm just like, this was a mother figure. I didn't really have one to go to at the time. So I answered for her. She said, "Come over here." And I didn't want to go. At this point, I wasn't eating, and I love food.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't eat. And I have never went through a period where I wouldn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood why people who were depressed say that they couldn't eat. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't speak, and I wouldn't talk. And I kept my phone on Do Not Disturb. And so I went over there, and I sat in my car. She forced me to get out of the car. I went into her house. My friend came over. My 3 best friends came over. My other friend, Jasmine, her mom came over. I've never sat in a room where my friends and their moms were bawling, crying. And they were just like, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
You gotta stop. And I didn't stop.
Wow.
I cried and I didn't stop. But I was so broken that I'm just like, I started praying. And the prayer was, I'm ready to die.
Oh my goodness.
The prayer was, I don't want to live here anymore. And I remember laying in the bed and I was just like crying. And I was like, God, I don't know what this is, but whatever this is, I'm ready to go.
Wow.
I knew I didn't want to hurt myself, but I knew I didn't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just laying in bed and I'm just like crying, like I'm ready to go. I'm meditating to I'm ready to go. And all of a sudden, God was like, "Nah, you good right where you at. Continue to cry, to continue to believe that you're ready to not be here. And once you get over believing that you're not ready to be here, I'm gonna deliver you." And so I'm like, "Oh, I ain't gonna be ready to not, I'm ready to go."
Yeah.
And he literally, that's when I heard, "Tell the truth." Because I had been lying this whole time about all the stuff I've been going through. And I had been lying. And I go on Facebook and I saw the journal. The breakup journal that I was showing you before you got here.
Yeah.
Before we started.
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm not journaling. I'm
Yeah.
not writing. And I'm like, I ain't got time for that.
Right.
And I saw it, and then I started reading people's comments.
Did you ever get treated by a therapist? Or was
I was.
journaling?
I went to therapy, but it's hard to be a therapist going to see a therapist.
Yeah.
And I was so guarded that I couldn't, see past my pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to see the therapist. I saw her for a few sessions. It didn't work out for me, so I stopped. But I saw the journal, and it was a relationship journal. And I started journaling because I'm like, okay, God ain't gonna take me away because He said your story is about to help so many other women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
that's the truth.
forget all of that. I've been helping people for a long time. I'm ready to go. And God's like, you all right? I'm gonna make sure. And remember I told my friends, I'm supposed to go through this.
Right.
And then I played the Kurt Franklin theme. You can't skip experiences. And this was an experience that I couldn't forget. And I couldn't skip because I was going to remember how this man treated me. And I was going to make sure that the next man would never treat me that way. Because now, because I didn't know how to date, I didn't know what love looked like, God showed me what it looked like. He showed me what it felt like. He showed me what it did not look like and what it were not supposed to look like. So now I'm going to show you what you're not supposed to do, what you're not supposed to have. So when you do get what you're supposed to get, you're going to love it. You're going to cherish it. Right. It's going to be yours. And so I didn't get the fairy tale that everybody was saying. I got you don't know how to date. I'm going to show you what not dating looks like.
Yeah. So
that's what I got. And I stayed in that relationship for 4 agonizing years because I was supposed to go through that. And I used to say, well, I went through foster care. You took my parents away. You destroyed a family that I never had. And then you give me a bad relationship. Now you're playing games with me.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. And then I said, no, he not. He not playing games. You playing games with you. Because you went through all of that. You made it through. And you allowed somebody to come in and infiltrate your heart because you were so broken and so in this fairy tale land that you wanted to create a lie that you allowed somebody to pour holes in you when all you needed was the hole was God. And I literally
this is me snapping. Okay.
I literally allowed, because I was so broken and I was in pain from something else that had nothing to do with a relationship. But because I hadn't received love, because I didn't know what it looked like, and because I wanted it so much, I allowed him to come in and say I loved you and didn't care nothing about me. And so I started to pray a different prayer. I used to say, God, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. The same prayer I used to say when I used to say, I don't know how I'm going to write this paper, but I know I'm going to write it.
Yeah.
And I used to say, God, I don't know how I am going to get out of the relationship with him, but I know I'm going to get out of it. And it started to push me away. I stopped crying about certain things. I stopped caring about certain things. He started doing certain things. I stopped questioning. I don't care. Do you? He ain't called. I didn't care. I wouldn't call.
Thank you, Jesus.
He would ask for money. I ain't got it. He would, if he didn't pick up the phone, I really wanted to talk to him. Oh well.
Right.
I started to figure it out. And then, here go another embarrassing moment, guys. My truth. We had sex. I was still sleeping with him after the fact that he had got the girl pregnant. But I felt like, I wanted him away, but I was still doing it. And so, at this time, we had sex. And I was like, okay, I need to get the plan B. A plan B that I paid for.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. But I got to pay for a plan B pill with your trifling self. He goes to get the pill, give it back to me, comes upstairs to my condominium, and he leaves. He left the receipt, the bag, knocks back on my door 2 seconds later and say he forgot the receipt. His exact words, I forgot the receipt.
What are we getting at?
He forgot the receipt. That was his exact words. And I went off. I went ballistic. He wanted the receipt because, remember, I became side chick. So now he's with the girl that he had this baby with. Well, that he had pregnant because she hadn't had the baby yet. And so he forgot the receipt. And at this point, I had been praying to get away from him. I looked at him in the face and I went off and I said, "You would never touch me again." And he never touched me again.
Yeah.
And I meant that because I was like, not only did you do all of this stuff to me, but now you're gonna smack me in the face and add insult to injury. You would never touch me again. I didn't have to attack him on social media. I didn't have to hurt him because that's what women do. I didn't have to hit him. I didn't have to. Hey,
did you block him?
No.
And that's strength, and that's why I asked, because
I didn't.
For a lot of people, and that was what I had to do. I had to, at certain points, because I had different processes, different stages, different mechanisms for getting out of my repeated cycle. And to me, block him. I still know his phone number. I can still unblock him. Yeah. I can still text him. I can still call him.
That's true.
And then he started using apps, texting apps to get in touch with me. But when you know that you don't even have to block a person, when you know you done, and you don't have to do that, that's strength.
I didn't block him. And I was still weak. I hear you. I was still weak.
Dang.
You were almost there. You were almost there.
Never mind what I said.
No, that is true though. That is true. When you reached a level where I wasn't getting back at him because I said, you said earlier, vengeance is mine, said the Lord.
Yeah.
I always believe that karma is not for me to give to you. God will handle you. And I spoke that throughout the entire relationship. So I didn't do anything to get back at him. I had been to court. I could have lost my job. I could have everything. I could have lost everything because I was being attacked. But I allowed it, so I don't blame them. I blame myself. We were done. I was done seeing him shortly after, like 2 to 3 weeks later. I went out of town. Went out of town, had sex, we did the Plan B thing. I went out of town again shortly after, like 3 weeks later, to visit my mom. And I was okay with talking about him in front of my mom and my sister, but not this time. And I knew once I wasn't okay with talking to him in front of them, we were done.
Yeah.
I asked him to pick me up from the airport. He said no. He didn't say no. He said, "I'll let you know." And I told him, "Don't worry about it." That was the last
time you talked to him?
No, not the last time I talked to him. The week prior, that was the last time he saw me. Because I would never let him see me again. And it just went from bad to worse. He stalked and, did everything to get my attention. And I would not give in. Because at that moment, God said you were done.
Yeah.
And I was done. And I meant, when I'm one of those people that when I'm done with something, there's no going back. And I was supposed to, in the full circle with me saying, you can't skip experiences. And I used to tell my friends, I'm supposed to go through this. And my friends would never understood. Had I stopped then, I would have went back. Because I wasn't done. I was supposed to feel and go through every bit of pain. And not everybody can do this. God chooses certain people for it.
Right.
And I was chosen for the role. I went and I felt everything that a person can do. Everything besides physical. He did get physical with me once, but he attacked me. And that didn't work out in his favor. Sorry.
Okay.
You ain't gonna put your hands on me now. You can do a lot of stuff, but don't hit me. But he did get physical. So I've been through everything that a man can do to a woman, almost. Thank God he carried me and I had no diseases or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was done.
Yeah.
And there was no coming back for me. I was completely done. And that's the story of my brokenness.
Oh,
but I was done. And I'm glad to be delivered from that. And it hurt him because he said, "How do you stop talking to somebody out of the blue?"
Wait. He said that to you.
How do you stop out of the blue?
Like, who you think you are?
I was just
I done took you through all of this and you think you could just stop talking to me?
Out of the blue. He was hurt because he was like, out of the blue? Out of the blue.
Wow.
Out of the blue. And he started
That's
stalking.
dangerous.
He started stalking me. He started doing everything. And I still feel like I'm covered. So you can do whatever you want to do. I am not coming back. And have your life. Because unfortunately, they're miserable on the other side.
Right.
On that other grass. It's a miserable world over there. And I pray.
Wow.
And the sad thing about it is that I pray that both of them become delivered from their pain. Because I literally watched them suffer. And I ended up speaking to her not too long ago. And I told her, like, I really hope and pray, that you understand that he is not your end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't create the family that you should have, but I really hope and pray that you find somebody that loves and cherishes you and don't abuse you in this type of way. Like, you deserve so much better. And my friend could not understand why was I speaking positivity to the girl that took your man. And I said, because at the end of the day, like, I still see the good in people. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we're all in this game called life together. And she needed that at that moment. And she needed to hear that because she really needs to understand that love doesn't look like that.
Right.
That's not what that looked like. And I don't know who taught her or where her lessons came from, but she needed to hear from me that I'm not telling you not to be with him, but I'm also telling you what it looks like and what we went through together, because we were going through it together. Side chick, girlfriend number one, girlfriend number two, whatever you want to call us, sister wives, whatever.
Yeah.
We were going through a relationship with the same man tragically, and both of us were demising. And I just felt the need to give her, like, hey, it's okay to leave and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And happiness is a temporary emotion. But it's okay to find everlasting joy. And she needs to find that. And I pray to this day that she finds some type of deliverance from that relationship. Or I pray that he finds deliverance in his soul and that it heals so that he can treat her like he should. Because she deserves it. And he deserves to be a really good man. They both do. They deserve all the happiness they need to get. But
Yeah.
the relationship is so, so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad. And I'm just like, I really pray you guys find some type of positivity in it.
And people will never understand, just like you said, your friends, they didn't
Yeah.
understand how you said that.
Yeah.
And it's because you come from a place where it's like, I've been there,
Mhm.
I'm dealing with it, I'm healing. I understand that I would never go back there. So from the outside looking in, I'm praying for you. And it's not sad that you're praying for both of them. No
Yeah.
matter what he did to you, no matter what part she played, pray for your enemies. Pray for deliverance because that's toxic, that's unhealthy,
It is.
and they need prayer.
And I think what burned him the most was that, why is she still so positive? Because even through the stuff that I was going through, I was like, you gotta heal, you gotta heal, you gotta heal. And he just didn't get that peace. And I'm like, you gotta heal. And that's why I said you cannot enter into relationships broken. And I entered into one broken. And it's almost like math. A negative relationship, a negative person and a negative equals a positive, because the two people don't see that it's negative. But if you have a negative and a positive, because one person gets better, still a negative, right?
Yeah.
That's why you have to enter into it with two positive, sound minds for the relationship to be positive. Even if it doesn't work out, it's still positive.
Right.
And so it's important to have those healthy things.
Man, Erica, we are on to something. And the fact that you said you pray for her, and she needs to understand this isn't your end all be all. This is not what love looks like. But it took you to go through that, to tell your story and tell her, this ain't right. When I was in your shoes, I thought it was, and I accepted it, and I received that. But this isn't what love is. And I don't know why it's been on my heart. I mean, God placed it on my heart He's been waking me up every day at 5 in the morning. It's going on 3 weeks, almost a month now. 5 in the morning, he's giving me ideas and website ideas and slogans and mottos and my new book, my next book that's going to be coming out.
Congrats.
Thank you. And most recently, it's been, my story isn't for me, it's for her.
Right.
You went through all of that, and still you could tell her this isn't what love looks like.
Yeah.
Now, that story is for her. It's for the next woman. It's for the women who's listening to this podcast. It's for the women who will be at our events, our healing circles.
Absolutely.
This is just, it's awesome. The fact that we are open, unfiltered, emotionally unfiltered, and we tell them what we've been through, because we know that women are going through it right now, or they're trying to get out of something. They don't know how. They may be battling depression. They don't know how to be alone. They dealing with something because they don't know what it looks like. They feel like it's right. So it's important that we tell our stories, no matter how uncomfortable we get, no matter who we're with, our spouse or our boyfriend, whatever the case may be, or our friends, they don't want to hear this, and it's just like, oh my God, it's not about us, it's bigger than us.
It's an uncomfortable feeling, and it took me a while to get to this state where it's like, tell the truth, be honest, and I literally just wrote on my business page, again, heal dot
Thyself
thyself
counseling
counseling
on Instagram.
on Instagram.
Make sure you follow.
Yeah,
She's bringing it up.
I am. I'm trying to find it, and I just wrote on there. Healing is about honesty. You can't heal what you're not willing to face with an honest, open heart. Live in your truth and be clear about your intentions. And my intentions is to move forward in a relationship and to have that family that, that I want. And so I wouldn't be able to do that if I'm not able to be honest about what I did, how I was acting, my behavior, and the role that I played in it. It's not about his role. It's not about what he did. It's not about what she did. Right. It's about what I did and how I played a role and the things that I did to create the toxic relationship, because I don't blame him for anything that he did to me. I blame myself because I knew better. I know better, and I allowed it to happen. So he did nothing wrong. He has to deal with his own character flaws, but I have to deal with the toxicness that I created within their relationship. So that's how I was able to heal. Once I became truthful with myself to say, Erica, what was going on with you? Figure that out. Figure out what was going on with you. Figure out how come you allowed somebody to treat you that way, and then we can talk. That was basically God speaking to me. We can talk once you ready to come to me and talk about what you just did.
Yeah.
That's when you're a kid, you tell like, and they just hit me. What did you just do?
Exactly. Why they hit you?
Yeah.
And with every action, there's a reaction.
Absolutely. And consequences aren't just negative; some are positive. And so I had to come forward to say, this is what I did. I had to play my cards, and that's why I'm so honest about telling my story and about telling, this is what I did. Yeah. And this is, and you hear me using the word I. I is so important. And I'm not saying, well, he did this, he did that. This is what I did. Mm-hmm. This is what I allowed someone to do to me. This is how I operated. And I operated with brokenness. Yeah. I operated with a broken heart. I operated going through pain. Mm-hmm. And so I found healing within that because I started being honest. And once I started being honest, at the age of 29, I'm older than that now too. But once I started being honest at the age of 29, I did start to find healing, and I started to find my purpose, and then I started to be a better person. Even though I was still a great person, I started to be an even greater person. And I started to really move forward in my purpose. And I was able to speak clearer to people. And I was started to able to speak clearer thoughts and be a prophetic message, to deliver to other people. I wasn't able to do that before.
Mm-hmm. If you can't face your truth, you're not ready to heal.
Not at all.
And my mom, Trina, when she read my book, she said that the book was amazing. And she said that if a woman says that they can't relate to this book, she's not ready to face her truth. Because in Brokenness That Made Me Whole, I put it out there. And like you said, I don't blame him. I blame myself for a lot of things. You'll realize that I faced my truth. Yeah. I was just as bad as he was, and it took two people to cheat. It took two people to get involved. And yes, she knew about me first, but I was bitter and I didn't care. And like you said earlier, you become what you despise or what you don't want, what you Absolutely. Don't like. And I was at a point where I was broken, so I operated that way. And that was just as bad as he was. And then the woman he goes home to. I'm dealing with him. I don't want him. I don't want him to stay here. You leaving after this. But at the same time, you still losing. You still giving him what he wants. You still giving him your body, your mind. You still attached to him emotionally. But he going home to another woman.
Because it's that soul tie.
Mm-hmm. That unhealthy soul tie.
I like to call them unhealthy attachments.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it wasn't a soul tie. It was an attachment. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, the unhealthy attachment, and they're hard to break.
They are.
They're definitely hard to break. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think the being clear, being open, being honest, being vulnerable with what's going on, and being real. Like a lot, this fictitious world, and it's so many things going on out here, and so many lies being told about life in itself, about mental health, about what that looks like. And mental health is a big piece that people like to. Everybody wants to say they suffer from depression. Everybody wants to say they suffer from anxiety. Everybody wants to say these things, but nobody is really being honest about what is truly going on. And we got to start being honest about what's going on.
Right.
And a lot of times, it's not just relationships with a significant other, it's relationship with people. Mm-hmm. People don't know how to have them. People don't know how to move forward and have positive, healthy, long-lasting, fulfilling relationships.
Yeah. That's so true. And that's a great point. Girl, we can talk on and on.
We can.
Like, this is going forever. And this is exactly why Erica will be at my events, and we're going to partner, and we're going to have some good things coming up. And I'm just excited for what God has for us, and just to see us walking in our purpose. No matter what. Yeah. If we don't know the full plan, we know that we're on to something, and God will direct
something
us.
Coming out.
So,
yeah.
I'm excited. Man, this has been another great episode. I don't know what's coming next. And
thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a guest, and thank you for opening your home and the hospitality. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being unfiltered. Thank you for sharing your story, because it's bigger than us. Our story is for her, whomever she is. We're going on an hour. I started my podcast off at 8 minutes, and then it was like 14 minutes, and then it was 20 minutes. But now that I have guests, I'm really enjoying it, and it's a great way to, converse and share your thoughts and perspectives. So
these conversations need to happen.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful. So thank you for being here, Erica. You guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting House Hill Media. Thank you for always hosting. Thank you for your support and believing in my show and my podcast. There is always more to the story. Until next time.